Good morning. Today is Tuesday, April 16, 2024. 10 o'clock, and this is Senate Natural Resources and Energy. We're continuing our work on H687 and activating community resilience and biodiversity protection through land use. We were walking through, discussing, editing yesterday. Thank you to council for capturing edits we made yesterday and in a draft. So for the record, for anyone who's following, it's on our website and it's draft 2.1 dated 4/15/24, 9:01 p.m. Thank you for another stint of late night work. Or whatever. Late-ish night work. My flag for yesterday where we paused was on the prior draft, page 55. And you, maybe what we should do is we go back where we paused is just review changes since yesterday. I think there's two that I can think of offhand, which is the other purpose section, that was kind of a long narrative about the bill and not really an accurate reflection of the amalgamated bill we're putting together is out, and which moves the other purpose section up to section 1, which is still focused entirely on the land use piece of things. And I made a cut at looking at balanced language to address the housing / development type of things, but didn't feel like I had something particularly well expressed. So watch this space. Okay. The other thing is that promulgates a lot of changes is that we talked about a name change, considered crowdsourced and considered many names. At this point, the land use review board is the name the was winning nominations. And I think a part of that is because no meeting a couple of times. All right. So with that, let's anything else you would flag that council between here and page 55-ish, where we left off discussing zoning bylaws from bylaws for communities in Tier 1A.
I will check out the Office of Legislative Counsel. So I will just say, so draft 2.1 has highlighting in yellow that reflects the changes in 1.1 that we didn't discuss yesterday. And the new changes from yesterday's discussion as well. So it's all in yellow, so you can still see it because we didn't actually talk about all of it. I mean, there are other things that have changed. There was that whole conversation on Tier 3. So I don't know if you want to go back and go through the other things, or if you want to try to finish
I think
the whole draft.
press on so that we have fluid in on votable draft. I did check with the program on schedule, and we really need to finish the count tomorrow. So cannot have extra time other than I also appreciate that committee members. Thank you, Senator White, for the reminder that we did it 1 through 13. We'll meet again today 4 till 7. Those can be here. Yes.
One thing to note is Senator Watson, I was informed that at 4, the government office is going to be voting on a bill.
Okay.
So we probably won't be able to be here until like 4:15. Just I would say you're welcome.
Commence. I'll check in with the chair and see if she might be able to
Okay,
switch up the batting order. I don't know what's going on.
I wish you luck.
I wish you luck. Forewarned us. Forewarned. All right, so. Yeah, let's proceed from where we thought yesterday.
so on page 54 and 55 of the as passed by the House version. This is the language on the tier 1A areas. And how they are approved. Yesterday, you finished walking through the requirements, you made some suggested changes to this section, which are in draft 2.1. But it's left out at the bottom of page 54.
Sorry, which version are we in right now?
So I'm looking at the as passed version, so you can look in draft 1.1.
Or 2.1?
If you want,
I'm gonna stick with the as passed. Thank you.
we're doing markup, so whichever draft that your comments in them may be most helpful.
Thank you.
So if you want to go to 2.1.
Which one will you do?
All of them.
Oh.
Right now it's about what comments you have on changes you want to make, so I assume that is mostly in the as passed version.
Yeah. That's essentially, I have comments, I don't have no markup on two, so I'm gonna stick with as passed, which is where my comments are. I'll keep our 1.1 copy open side by side.
54. So. What we were doing yesterday is if anyone had questions or flags on this section.
Until I,
Mr. Chair, we were going over, if I'm on the right page 54, we were going over the different requirements and bylaws. And I haven't gotten yet to that part in 2.1, but may I ask what changes we made that are reflected in 2.1?
Yeah, so I took the language that BNRC submitted as well as the planners and I kind of mixed them together a little bit.
into one,
I did, yes.
and in this section that we left off on, which is
Yeah.
section 34.
So I don't know if you want to start there. I was trying to not start there, but we can't.
We just have to sit there.
What's the page number for where the?
It's 51 in the new one and it's 54 in the as.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we're jumping from one to another, and if we could preface it by 2.1 page such and such,
Yeah.
then some of us could follow.
yes, that'd be helpful. I agree.
I think so.
So for the time being, let's leave.
No, it's not distance, it's 2.1.
If you wanted to see where we are in 2.1, page 51.
Center plots.
Thank you. I have a zoomed out kind of question. I know that the RPCs and VNRC have provided some suggestions as to for language changes, about which it sounds like there is a great deal of consensus. And so I just want to acknowledge that I feel like I think some of those changes that were suggested are in pages that we are past. And that I just want to check in on that because I am feeling remiss in that I have not been making those suggestions as we went. It's just been so much to digest. So will there be an opportunity to, well, maybe I should check first to see if we have all the updated set of suggestions. And also how, I don't know how we are feeling, about incorporating those changes.
So they're in 2-1. Right?
All of the,
Not all of
Not all.
um,
Some are in 2-1.
ones I was given explicit direction on.
Yeah.
okay, and. Okay, so if there are, because my understanding was that there might be some new suggested language around tier 3 process or designating 1B areas, and we are kind of back. Well, I know it is sort of, there's a couple places where that shows up, so maybe we're fully past it, but I just wanted to check. And maybe this is a process question. How do we want to deal with it?
So I was trying to make a suggestion on how to proceed, though you don't have to listen to me. I was trying to finish your marked up as passed version. So then you could go back to the smaller universe of things that you were working on. However, you can choose to start at the beginning of 2.1 and go forward.
No, I think, so I would prefer to do that route. They complete a lap and then come back. I know that some changes made it in from yesterday's conversation. I know that other folks have had additional suggestions. But we're gonna. Let's make a complete trip through and we'll refine on the second line.
Thank you,
So Senator
Grateful
McConnell, well taken point.
I've got 2 flags already.
Probably the handiest document to have in hand is as passed by the House.
Which we're going to
Keep on going,
continue plowing through.
plowing.
Cruising for plowing, yes.
And my flag for what we were was on section 34. Page. Approximately page 63.
like 54 of the as passed.
To the animal units.
Of the AdCasts. I keep the flag out. So,
Okay,
let me look. We have the off. Section, this thing going on.
So section 29, which was 52 through 56, that's that's the tier 1A area. We already talked about the requirements, so there's the notice and participation requirements, and then the board's hearings on that. Section 30, page 59 is they have to do guidance on for municipalities on what the application will have to include.
Sorry, this is super small, page 56, line 7. On any email list or social media site a municipality uses, I think it should probably say on any like appropriate email lists, or. Like any email list seems like,
We have multiple lists.
right, then do you have to send them to all of them? Maybe not. On second thought, on second reading, I think it's fine, let's keep question.
So I've never
Any-
used this phrase in the mill before, this was a request from the house, they were trying to get at like. Some towns have listservs, it's
Right.
about Front Porch Forum, Facebook groups.
I'm
I'm not sure appropriate is the right word,
Sure, no,
official.
sure, I guess I'm trying to avoid the situation where they have to feel like they have to send it to all of, like if different departments have different lists, different
Okay.
purposes, that they don't have to use all of them.
Okay.
It's a small thing,
Does it work if you just insert the word appropriate after email? Any appropriate email?
yeah, that's what I was suggesting.
Okay.
Or official would be relevant,
Okay.
yeah. That's good. Thank you.
do communities designate which, so that we, or lists they use regularly?
Designate them. I think they probably have a,
So, let's keep things do relevant and keep going. And if this is the last question we have. We're in great shape.
yes.
Um,
Section 31, which is page 59, is having the municipality add the tiers to their maps. Section 32. Are the exemptions for tiers 1A and B.
I mean, that's all right.
mhm.
Page 58, this is about appeals. Line 6. An interested person, does this person have to have a particularized interest or no?
No. Interested person is defined right under that, and this isn't using the particularized interest.
All right, thank you. I'm paused.
So how do we? I know how we define particularized change. How do we define an interested?
It's right there, so let's keep going, we'll come back, we're gonna have to read and. Review. We're past this yesterday, correct? Yeah.
So section 32 are the exemptions for tiers 1A and 1B. I had a note on page 61 about the A&R and the NRB are not gonna have enforcement authority unless the municipality has not taken any reasonable efforts to enforce the conditions of a permit.
Yes.
Bad,
Please.
Yeah, and there's also on page 61, the 3 exemptions that are being added that were part of the floor amendment. These are for a hotel or motel converted to permanently affordable housing, accessory dwelling units. And converting the commercial space into 29 units of housing.
so I have these flagged, to like. Just step for the moment, knowing that 311 addresses these things.
Yes, they are in 311.
So I figure we'll pick them up and bring 311. Like one. Sort them out once.
Can I just ask what that means? Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I know that we have had competing recommendations on this concept. I know the Vermont League of Cities and Towns reached out and said that they did not want to see the hotel exemption be a part of the bill. So I just wanted to note that.
Sure.
But to understand the process, you're saying we're taking these out as they are in the bill now, and we later see them from 311 in a later part of the bill?
I was just saying, leave them be for the moment, keep going, we're gonna see another version of them when we get to the 311 section.
Okay,
And I
so
think
they're
we need
two.
to make a decision, but then we're settle on. But one version, yeah,
Okay. But that's already in our new 2.1 draft later on.
yeah, because it was in 311. We haven't gotten that far. It's three.
No.
It's not been added.
311 was not been added.
Yeah, that's where I'm confused.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
the,
But these are still in 2.1. So
yeah,
yeah, okay, thank you. So, I'm completing different,
we're gonna do during happy hour thing.
provision.
That's on 311.
there we
That
go.
are in 311. And, so council, out of AB, AA, double B, double C, can you remind, us please of which of those elements is already realized?
They all are,
They all are,
yes.
yeah,
The
so that,
hotel and motel, one is in a slightly different section. I think it makes sense here, there are, because there are multiple exemption sections of Act 250, but it's still an exception.
so that's what I thought they were 311. When we get to that section of 311, then we'll see them again and sort out the issue. I was trying not to sort it out now before we got into the 311 portion of our report.
But I don't. But I don't believe that that section of 311 is in the current draft.
No, it's just in 311.
It's so it's just, so
So
it's
we
not in
have
this draft.
We have to get to the other 20 sections of 311.
Yeah, that's, okay.
So that's where we're heading.
Okay.
Towards those other 20 sections.
Section 33 is the process for municipalities that pulling the Act 250 permit conditions into their permits. Section 34 is the tier 2 area report on page 63 of the as passed house.
So Watson?
Page 64, I just want to note that on the lines 8 and 9, there, it looks like there's, into the report, there's a review about, accessory on businesses, and I don't know if we want to, pull that out together with the discussion we're gonna have about accessory on farm businesses, or we'll leave it in for now. I don't.
Well,
Under the tier 2 area report.
Right. It feels like a funny place to have a tier 2 report, a funny place to have a report on accessory on farm businesses. We're gonna have a report on it. Does it make sense to have it be in the tier 2 area report? What else do you think?
I think it does.
Oh, okay.
Organically.
Oh.
I mean, I think this report generally is a bit of a catch-all to address things that are left in tier 2 and whether or not the types of businesses that are left in tier 2, if the jurisdictional triggers for them should be changed.
Okay. I'm happy to keep it in, I just wanna make sure that.
It is odd that it's, there were, they also had originally called out the wood product manufacturers, so it's a little bit of an island now, but there is a question of not a lot of changes are being made to the jurisdictional triggers for tier 2, should there be changes made?
Or these first. I'm fine.
I couldn't see for now, let's move it.
Okay.
Knowing that there's a bigger story. And that's what
Uh,
34A.
34A is the wood product manufacturers report, on line 17. Gonna strike the word vital. And on page 65, also in this section. On page 64, striking the word vital on line 17. And on page 65, striking the Senate Agricultural Committee. Agriculture Committee. Section 34B is the location-based jurisdiction review due in February 2029. Section 35 is the affordable housing development study. Section 36, which is page 67 in the as passed by House, starts the sections on the regional plan and the maps. So the first section. Section 36 is the goals of chapter 117, so it's 43 out of 2. Section 37 are the duties of the regional planning commission, so that's on page 70 of the as passed by House.
Quick question on 69, so line 12, 43, 4348A9. Are those, in the bill, the housing targets, or it's a citation, something that doesn't appear in the bill?
It does not appear in the bill. It was a previously passed provision.
Okay, I can go take a look. Can you just characterize them? Are they, who spelled out the housing targets? I mean, whose are they?
Let's find out. So this part of what is required in the regional plan. And so the identify the amount of the needs for housing that will result in adequate supply of building code and energy code compliant households, where they spend not more than 30% of their income on housing and 15% on transportation. The department shall establish statewide and regional housing targets as part of the housing needs assessment. The RBCs shall consult the housing needs assessment. And shall assess the estimate total needed housing. So the department has to do the housing assessment, and the RBCs have to look at it and address it for their region.
So there's EHCD. Thank you.
Section 37 is the duties of the regional planning commissions. Section 38 are the purposes of the regional plan. Section 39 is the process for adopting amendments to the regional plan.
Page
72.
Page 75, line 14, charge of the, so these are people that you have to send some kind of notice to, I think. On line 14, I'd like to add, so it says the chair of legislative body. I'd like to add or town manager.
So I'm remembering.
So in the as passed version, it's page 75, line 14.
What's the suggestion?
It's okay,
Chair,
so
but not every comes the chair.
well, no, every town should have a chair, but I think that sometimes sending it to the town manager is a good idea as well. Sometimes it was not always clear, just speaking as former mayor, it was not always clear if the mail that I received was also being sent to the town manager. And it should be.
Does every town have a town manager?
No, which is why I think it should say or.
Or? Yeah, it's not an and. You want the chair
It could be and the town manager if
and town
There it is.
manager, if any.
applicable. Thank you, okay.
Back on 72, I just have flagged, there's a change on line 10 from the definition shall be given due consideration, and we changed to substantial deference. But where relevant in state regulatory proceedings. I just have that flagged as when someone in the room who's proposing the things explain the rationale on that shift.
Sure, this is Catherine Demetra from Northwest Regional Planning Commission. Though I My understanding, not being an attorney, from the changes that were made to the energy law and Public Utilities Commission proceedings, that that due consideration versus substantial deference is a term of art, substantial deference is a higher threshold. And so it's our recommendation that the regional plans, when determining whether something is a substantial regional impact, that scale of project, that's a substantial regional impact, that the regional plans definition should be given that higher weight in making that determination.
Okay, and I'm just trying to make sure I see where we are in terms of those proceedings. So this is when the RPC is before the board.
This is for conformance under criteria 10,
Yeah.
which is local and regional plan conformance. And under that criteria, if there's a conflict between a local and a regional plan, the regional plan takes precedence if the project is of substantial regional.
Thank you. That's it, just want to make sure I knew who is talking to whom at that moment. Yes.
And I think it also, it comes up in 228, because they use that criteria as well.
Right. Anything else on the pages? 39, section 39, page 74. I have small 75.
On page 78. Gonna strike the redundant reference to the environmental review board. Or the letter.
Okay. Questions?
Section 40 is the elements of the regional plan. It starts on page 82. Of the as passed by. On page 87. I'm gonna strike the word vibrant.
Quick question, sorry.
Yeah.
Page 81.
Yep.
Line 13, if we want to insert the word exemptions, right?
Oh, yeah, so. Oh, yep, so this is an odd, I think I rewrote this slightly, but so this says if, so on page 81, the as passed by version, line 11. If regional planning commission is unable to obtain affirmative determination of regional plan compliance. Member municipalities shall lose any benefits related to designations, Act 250 exemptions, or state infrastructure investments. So I would just say, I think I maybe rewrote this slightly in draft 2.1. Act 250 exemptions isn't potentially the full universe. I'm thinking specifically of Act 250 permit fees. There's a discount on permit fees in designated neighborhoods. Also, so let's,
Yeah, and you can see what you did in the new draft.
okay, just
2-1. Okay.
On the new draft, it's 78. In 2.1. I believe it's.
oh yeah, so it did write any, lose any associated benefits. I mean, this is. The sentence is kind of redundant. I mean, it's stating the sort of obvious implication of what happens if you lose designation.
But you added exemptions.
I did add exemptions because I had written down to add it, but
You're still right, you're right. It's working on.
81.
So yeah, it is in 2.1.
Thank you.
Sorry, on line 14,
Yeah.
I apologize.
We're just stating the obvious, what happens if you lose designation, so.
So exemptions goes inserted after 250. The sentence goes rewritten in 2-1.
Oh, right, okay, yep.
And in 2-1, that sentence straddles the bottom of page 78, top of page 79. Okay, thank you. Section 40.
Yep, section 40 is the elements of the regional plan. I had a change on page 87, striking the word vibrant.
The Grinch starts again.
Is that you?
That's me. Adjectives and adverbs are highly suspect.
And then on page 89, yesterday we had a lot of discussion about changing this section. So draft 2.1, so page 89, village areas in the as passed by the House version. Yesterday you discussed this, so 2.1 does have updated language on this section.
It does. Okay. I have multiple things. Sure. Okay. Back on page 85, 104. Encourages preservation of rare and irreplaceable natural areas, scenic and historic features and resources. It just felt like resources was hanging out a little bit. I assume we're talking about natural resources and like. I was just wanting a descriptor to resources.
Actually, the comma might be inappropriately placed there, it might be historic resources. And scenic resources, historic resources.
Okay, I was also wondering about that, like did historic apply to resources? So
Yeah.
that's maybe just a grammatical thing. Just wanted to flag that and then,
So this, and just to remind, this sentence was in another place in this section and was moved.
Okay.
It was on page 80, I think it was on page 86, yes, it was on page 86, it's being moved.
so it's in, this is existing language.
It is.
Okay. I'm happy to let it go. It's an existing language, if it's functional.
But I think maybe the comma on line 4 is not good.
And then. Another, this may be a question for planners, or LPCs, but so on page 87. Line 20, planned growth areas, these areas include the densest existing settlement and future growth areas. Highest concentrations of populations. I'm just worried about the absolute descriptors in there, like this is the densest existing housing or the highest concentrations of populations. Is that? Maybe I'm being too like literal about that, but that tells me that you would not have more than one planned growth area. Maybe you don't, maybe you can only have one planned growth area. And I don't have a suggestion, I just wanted to flag that the densest and the highest words for me are flags of like. They're too exclusive.
Yeah, they're superlative.
Yes, right, and densest within a municipality, within a region, you know, like what is densest within what boundary? So I'm just flagging that as like, I don't have a suggestion, and just love that to be.
Too denser.
Well, dense, but then denser than what? You know, it's.
I will say that it was not the intent of the language, that it was to infer only one planned growth area in each region, so. If from a legislative statutory drafting perspective, that needs to be changed to correct that, and I appreciate the flag, because that was not the intent.
Sure, I mean, we could to include high density just this high density existing settlement or high concentrations of population, I think that actually might solve it.
I think, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool, thanks. Sorry, I have another one.
Yes, keep going.
Okay, page 88, line 18, we have struck fluvial erosion in other places. Wonder if we want to just call that river corridors.
Right, so we've moved on, around, we should.
Right.
Your thinking is that if we have river corridors, and that embraces, that's all we will do.
Right, and that's the current term for the same.
We're not doing full river.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely want to include that.
So that makes sense.
By the
Line 18, is that what you guys?
yeah. We will have new language about village areas.
Yep.
Not yet, but we will.
It's in 2.1.
It is. I'm not gonna,
Just there's a little.
or should we be looking at the new language?
Why don't we keep going, knowing that we're gonna pick up 2-1, we'll see it again.
So we've made the change.
Yes. We made some changes, I don't know if we're all done in that neighborhood or not.
It already knows.
That's your page 90, line 2. Village areas must meet the following criteria. This must meet or is that shall meet? What's the? How do we use phrase things like that?
In 2.1, doesn't it say shall? I changed it to shall in 2.1.
Thank you.
You did.
Okay. Did the new language resolve, I have flagged on page 90, line 14, just some grammatical stuff and like planned commercial.
So I did want to talk, so I do want to talk about transition areas a little bit, not. So the department had suggested language for this yesterday. I have included some of it in 2.1. I didn't know though if you wanted it. I think you had discussion, so,
Department of Housing,
yes,
and Community Development sent over. Yes, Mr. Cochran said we'll send language, and they did.
yes. I don't know if anyone read it, it was a lot.
It was more than I imagined.
And that's easy.
So yes, they did propose striking the word plan on line 15. As well as the last sentence of this section. Also, did you guys want to change the word audit oriented?
It was a different phrase that was used elsewhere.
I'm scared.
Where was the other?
I did like,
One tripping, the first trip. Symbol is auto, and of course, automobile, like, there's automatic, but. Was this auto oriented, like there's some sort of rule that runs on it, so.
Self-reflective.
Yeah. Right.
It's recursive.
I never cursed it at all.
well, I just wanna say I appreciate the change on page 89. Instead of having under Hamlet, church to place of worship.
You're getting ahead.
Sorry, sorry, I'm so sorry.
The as passed version on page 104, line 3, it says development that contributes to a pattern of strict linear development, which I think means the same thing. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm willing to be wrong, but it would be nice if we were consistent. We could change both of them, I don't care, but I just wanted to note that. So it refers to the same thing, we should probably use the same phrase.
Yeah, Brian should, actually, probably, you should maybe say linear strip development, I think strip development is a word used in the definition of smart growth in statute. And I'm not sure.
I like linear strip.
It does seem very odd. Pick off one particular type of business.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of things that could be sort of development.
It's not about auto develop, not about auto dealers, though, it's not about like type of business.
Usually automobile.
Auto-oriented, right.
Automobile oriented or automobile related.
Okay. My understanding of that 20 and 21, as written on page 90. Is that auto-oriented here means is trying to say. You need an automobile to get there.
Yes.
Also makes building on the assumption that everybody has an automobile.
Yeah. So, but is it not captured by the other term, because we've used for years, linear development, like, isn't that in 9L, right? So if we, rather than a novel thing. So everyone's ever going to. Thank you.
Well. Sometimes to avoid. The ugliness of strip developments, a developer will lay down the footprint. Of a driveway. And then. The whole, like a shopping center kind of thing. Or a little settlement, even say of offices. Where at least, you got some trees along the highway, but it's still spread out. We're trying to avoid the, not just linear, being spread out, right?
Don't know that this speaks to that.
And in part, I'm flinching a little bit.
Well-
That was an alternative that we promoted for a period of time, right?
It was, but it was,
Put something fast in the road, turn it into its own thing.
but the assumption,
Now, landscape out front, so you didn't just fill the roadside with stores, they were. Like their own little developments at that.
the assumption is that people would get there by car. Still a car only.
Mr. Mitri.
Thank you. I think that the recommendation from using the language on page 104 and being consistent would certainly meet the intent of what was meant here in this section and would negate any confusion of the auto-oriented phrase. I did want to note, if I could, that the changes included in 2.1 for this definition reflecting their comments from DHCD are not ones that the regional commissions would support. Specifically, this transition or infill area is meant to serve two purposes. One is to recognize those areas that might currently exist in strip development that we would love to see transform into potentially more 1A, 1B type areas. But it also is an opportunity to recognize those new planning areas that communities might choose to develop in a smart way through like the former new town centers, which are now going to be going away. And also provide an opportunity for communities you think of like Johnson, who may need to develop an entirely new village that's not where they currently are in order to think about being resilient. So if you remove those two pieces, I think it negates the purpose.
Okay.
What, can you be specific?
In page 88, lines 1 through 11 of version 2.1. The two deletions that are proposed.
Oh, okay, that's why I.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're not making any.
So, yeah, so in 2.1, all right, see this, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, no, it's okay, so we're gonna shift more into the department made comments on most of this half of the bill. And some of them seemed in line with things we had already discussed, and so I made them in 2.1, and some of them did not.
Okay,
And so I highlighted them so you could see them before you, so
So
So you
put it,
asked me to incorporate that, I did not incorporate all of them.
Right.
Fully,
Oh.
because I wanted to raise this, yeah.
right, it was more substantive than. I thought it was gonna be tuning and was full construct. Okay, so for instance, on 2.1, page 88, the two strikes that are highlighted. Are you saying you're, Mr. Demetrius, you're saying. Don't, you would recommend not removing planned and not striking that last sentence, line
Correct.
10 and 11? Okay. And so. I'm just gonna. Mark that so that. Don't lose that suggestion.
And I think one of the concerns raised by, Cochrane yesterday was not taking away resources from, with the planned transition areas, not taking away resources from existing designation areas, but it's clear when you get to the later structure of the bill that transition infill areas are not eligible for any benefits. So that concern is.
Okay.
Chair. It's,
Mr. Shute.
since me and our Scott mentioned us, I understand your point about the last deletion, the Jason Greenfield, I guess. I would. Ask you to consider keeping, the omitting plan, because these are existing areas that have an existing settlement pattern, it's not just an area that says. Those are the greenfields that we're planning for future shopping centers. But if it is an existing pattern, well, not a planned pattern for development, it's that.
That could include, that was not our intent.
Yeah, I know.
What you would be asserting was something different, that was not our intent.
Okay, are we fine though, because it's for existing for planned commercial? Mr. Demetrius, you're saying please go unstrike plain. And Mr. Shute, how you?
I'm saying to strike or plan, and just leave it as existing.
Okay. So,
Would they disagree?
yeah,
We would agree with the artists for one term.
And the department agrees with VNRC, what's happening?
Alright, okay, let's go.
I didn't really understand how drastic the difference either is.
I'd love to come back.
yeah, I'm
If we're gonna take another
recording the vote. Recording the votes on this, and
Let's
go back to page. I
That's a shame age. Maybe I didn't understand.
think we're on 90. We're almost up to him, but not quite. All right. So we dealt with linear development. Auto oriented. All right, any evidence on 91 as passed?
Yeah, what?
And one. Right.
Perhaps,
Perhaps, did it become may include?
yes,
Thank you, I see that.
and then in rural general, sometimes also became may include.
Okay, and then, church became place of worship.
Yes.
Thank you for.
The points, so good because it was a term of art and.
Oh, sorry, sometimes I just went with some. Not like, but some limited commercial development.
Okay. Name.
And then on the top of page 92,
Yeah.
could becomes may.
Right. Section J. 92,
Oh,
so what?
thank you, page 92, line 18, maybe this is, never mind, I'll second, thank you.
Right. I had just a question on 110, so these are areas of significant natural resources. So that's a current term of art, significant natural resource area as used by the RPCs.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. make sure we're pointing at something that
Yeah.
people do exactly what we meant. So
Page 93, line 9, and go where it should be closed.
Yes. Yeah, and just, on the prior sections, I made all of them plural, I think. But, you see that, actually trying to keep all of them.
Okay.
On page 94, the new draft does have spelling out as laptop. On screen, sorry, what was the spelling?
On page 93, line 12, I have a note to change that date to December 31st, 2025.
Yes, it should, in on page 91, in the new draft.
Yes, although I do think, yes, so the department suggested a whole bunch of new dates. And so I have included that in draft 2.1. I do think you should review them, just to make sure that they are the dates you want.
So when the new draft that.
So here on page 93, we're talking about, the methodology for the mapped areas. And so including all existing designations as of, this is July 1, 2024, the department would allow designated areas to continue to be designated until, December 2025.
So certain ones, you have yours flag.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's highlighted in our Q1 draft, so. That'll be. Further discussion, okay? Other. Edits of 94, that was spelled out, off we go. There are other date changes in here. Any other changes on there are as past markup. Section 41.
Section 41 is the regional planning study.
Page.
94 of the as passed.
Yes.
Section 42 is the new position for the Department of Fish and Wildlife. In the 2.1, I have moved this section so that it's closer to the Act 50 stuff. Because this was an amendment, so it replaced something.
Doesn't really matter, but amendments, isn't for amendments,
It was the amendment from the Appropriations Committee.
all right.
This section 42.
And HA, I couldn't think of whose initials they were, House Appropriations.
Oh.
Too.
Yeah, so previously section 42 had something else in it. It was a different appropriation section. And the House took that out. It was additional money for the RPCs to do basically public outreach. Additional public outreach engagement, and this replaced it with staffing within the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
I realize that we're going back and forth between the drafts, but this was moved to an earlier part of the bill in the new.
Yes, it's not changed substantively, just moved because, I mean, I don't know how much this biologist would be working on regional plan mapping. I guess it might come up, but it's to assist in them working on this act, which I think will involve a lot of tier 3 and forest blocks.
See what's like this.
Road rule.
Yeah, I had marked, where did this come from? And now I know.
Oh, good, so it is there.
It is.
All right.
Okay, section 43.
Section 43, 44, and 45 all go together. These are the resilience planning sections. So this is updating the municipal and regional planning and resilience fund, or the municipal and regional planning fund. The municipal and regional planning and resilience fund. So just so you know, the name of this fund is not consistent in these sections, so draft 2.1, make sure it's consistent.
Okay.
And then. Just
Is
as,
in the word and resilience is
Yes.
always in there.
yes. So. I will say that yesterday, I don't know if you have if any of you have substantive comments on these couple of sections.
I did have a question about,
This is page 96, 97, 98, 99 of the past White House.
99D, line 1 of as path.
Yes.
I have a circle on it and a note I can't.
So this
figure out
was- this was a-
what am I note meaning?
This was a floor amendment.
Well, that's it, FA, floor amendment.
Floor amendment.
It's like I was trying to keep up and I use abbreviations I don't remember. Thank you.
Yes. So the department, this is a flag, had a number of comments on these sections.
Okay.
That I did not incorporate on. In 2.1, because we had not, you as a committee had not discussed any of them. The department, and especially with subsection D, the department. Has a lot of, has some pushback on this because this is a grant program that they administer. And so obviously D is to sort of push back on some of their current practices. So I don't know if you want to state that discussion.
Yeah, I'm gonna flag it as, reconcile in 2.1.
Okay.
Thank you. Section 44.
Yeah, and so this is the appropriation of $1.5 million to do the resilience planning. Again, the department had recommendations on changes to this.
So, no, it's not bad, let's go back.
And then section 45 are the two new staff positions, one for the department to staff experience, and then one for the agency of natural resources to do the water grant, water special environmental revolving fund grants. So that brings us to page 100 of as passed by the House.
I marked my,
We're moving so fast.
section 46, bottom, page 100. You had mentioned something about the whole challenge of repealing and cleaning up, closing things out. I don't know if you as drafters have resolved that, or in 2.1, probably it's addressed. If that's so, all you need to do is say yes, as a matter of fact, it did.
Well, the department has made a proposal that I think we need to talk about it a little bit. So I originally drafted this to be repealed immediately so that the new chapter would take over. And I don't think that's a great idea, especially because the department does want it to continue until the new designations are actually made.
Yeah.
So they're proposing that chapter 76A should not be repealed until 2034. Did I write that?
Yeah, you have it on page 98 of July 1st, 2034.
So. Well, it's an interesting question, because I also. In the meantime, over the weekend, I do think that within the new chapter 139, and I guess we will get there. The sections that are being duplicated in whole. The better places, downtown transportation, brownfields, those three sections, those should not be repealed. I just wanna make sure that that transfer happens, like, those two sections should exist at the same time,
Right.
probably. Because they will have slightly different wording, So I've also delayed their implementation. So I think, I don't know if 10-year sunset is the right number. Maybe it is.
Did housing? DCCD or?
They proposed 2034. I was thinking 3 years.
It's not going way out.
I mean, 10 years gives us time to make sure everything is working correctly. So. Maybe it's not a bad idea,
Okay,
but the 3 sections that overlap directly. Probably shouldn't. Exist at the same time. So if that's the case. You can strike those sections and just leave that in 76A.
which this will be disappearing in 2034.
Yes.
Yeah. So future cleanup, you have to move them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so. Great, let's, so thank you for that, that brings us to section 47.
Yeah, are we doing that plan?
That's it for the time being, let's leave to 2034.
Oh.
I mean, it's a 2-1, right, so we'll do it again since I love it. Okay.
Yeah, so then, page 101 of the as passed by the House starts, section 47. So. So the first section is the definition section. I don't know,
I had a note on my page 101 to delete line 17 through 19. I don't know if that's because it's redundant. Why would we take out a downtown center and village center?
I mean.
I don't remember the discussion well enough, other than I marked it as it's short.
I think you can keep it, I don't know how much, those words are used and spelled out in more depth in 4348A.
Mhm.
So this is clearly linking that to them. Page 101, number 4, line 17. Also, though, the word downtown is used a lot.
I think I have this marked as like bill hygiene, and if as drafter, you want to leave it, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably fine. I do want to flag just as since you haven't seen the department's comments, the department doesn't like necessarily the name Community Investment Program. They're again proposing community revitalization program. The House did not like that. The House chose Community Investment Program, and so the comments they submitted yesterday changed that name and the board's name. Lots of names here. I had originally called it the State Designated Area Program. So that we knew what we were talking about.
Okay, so let's keep going. We know that there's the opportunity to change. Page 102, line 12. Designated as a center or neighborhood or both. And my question mark was on or both, like you end up with more than one designation?
Well, so we're talking about planned growth area comes out of the regional plan land use categories. And so I do think this is saying it could end up as a center, a neighborhood, or both.
Okay.
So I do think that is some logical, I think.
Sure, thank you, just checking. I don't know. 104, line 4. I don't know what that language looks like in one draft, 1.
We changed the sprawl. Council updated the sprawl repair section.
It's just a paragraph of, that's 5, little b.
So I think what I just heard was development that contributes to a pattern of linear strip development. Along well-traveled roads and highways. But that was the conversation you just had.
Yeah.
I don't think I had any prior changes.
Yeah, and the way you just said it is linear strip development, not strip linear development. The other, so you can guess which thing I'm responding to in line 4. The well-traveled road seems so folksy and peculiar. As an attitude. Do we, I mean, I've just never seen us talk about well-traveled roads. The road less traveled.
This would have been Paris.
I mean, happy to. So this is part of the smart, is this in smart growth? Yeah, so. I think this may, let me check, this may be existing language. Yes, so the current definition actually just says. Linear development along well-traveled roads and highways that lacks depth as measured from the highway.
Excellent language. I'm happy to keep them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna run into the ground over, so I'm gonna leave my copy flagged.
Smart growth.
Just, you know, I don't know if it's supposed to be like traffic counts, that's what we're really talking about. Underneath busyness, how busy they are, what's going on there. But I'm kind of sensitive, so this is my pet peeve, let's keep going.
Also, if we're gonna leave chapter 76A intact, we could take this out and leave the existing definition of smart road. So it doesn't appear in 2 places. Page 104. Yes, the complexity of this.
So, sorry, we already defined elsewhere.
It's a defined concept in chapter 76A.
Yeah.
I have moved it here
Yeah.
because 76A is being repealed. If it's gonna exist for another 10 years, it probably shouldn't exist here.
Sure. Especially, even if it's 3 years, we don't need to do it twice.
Well,
Whenever
sure, yeah.
yeah, whenever the cleanup happens, okay,
Oh,
so you're suggesting. Deleting 13, or what's your suggestion?
yeah, deleting 10.
Or 10 itself? Probably
Yeah.
up, my broke will mean that, because I was just gonna say. Having written to you yesterday about 43, 48, so we can just cross-reference. That and not spell it all out all over it. Okay. And thus, well-traveled roads to live on.
At least we don't see.
Okay, 12, 13, 14, etc., those are. We need these, or are they subject to the same thing?
No, you need these.
Okay.
These are the new
Oh,
things.
sorry, state designated them. Got it.
Yes.
And thus your name suggested into the book. Oh, okay.
But capitalization.
Yeah, I have one marked on page 106. We're there.
Sure.
Well, how did you settle out, just so that we're consistent, capitalization, but what did you,
I think I've decided to not capitalize it. The current designated areas are not capitalized. I find it tricky to write the words downtowns, village, and center. And neighborhood many times and use them in different contexts of capitalizing them because they have multiple meanings in this bill.
right,
You know, you mean uppercase, right?
Yes.
Because the other parts in your grants that capitalized. I was honestly confused for a few seconds.
Uh-huh.
as in fun, okay. Okay, so whatever you have a drafting standard, so I'm fine to stick with
I know,
it.
it's,
It's a little confusing, you know, sort of go back and forth, it's not necessarily sure if you're talking about an official program or the word is just being
yeah,
used colloquially. Okay. Ready? So how? All right,
page 106 in the ad pass, this is the board. See downtown board being. See, this is why this is tricky, because if we are leaving 76A intact. The board there exists in that statute. And this board is to replace it. Okay,
we don't want two boards at once.
yeah,
One for the new program, one for the existing program.
Yeah.
Two.
I'm gonna have to
Easier.
strike,
Okay. Which way do you wanna go? Can we go to the new board and they take over? One's a little more comprehensive, like we had an EJ member,
yeah,
the RNB comes off, and we do RPCs and backup.
except that. The. Authority to grant designations is in that board and not this one.
It's,
Can we steal the language from that one to give that authority to this board?
Yeah, temporarily.
which board is now giving the designations?
The downtown.
Yeah, the downtown. In here, we're not talking about giving designations because that's gonna be a task at the new NRV, the LURB.
Draft 2.2 calls it the LURB.
I know this, I know it.
Makes me very
I
happy.
like it the LURB. Back to what I was. Okay,
Okay, so we need to reconcile that. The
Yeah.
other thing was that line 1819 of 106. The question came up about Association of Chamber Executives, and I thought we were changing that to Vermont Association Chamber Executives.
Vermont Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives, VACE, VACCP is the official title.
Okay, thanks. Vermont Association of Chamber of Commerce exists.
Already existing. Was already in English, that's just the names, it's a.
Great.
You're right.
Thank you. Right. I don't. Anyone have anything in this section? Prior to.
this is all 106, 107. Yeah, page 106, 107, 108. As past time.
My next slide is until one.
In here. Mine's 1821.
Indeed.
Great, so page 108 had started with the designation of the new centers, the downtown and village centers. Okay, so 110. So are you talking about the transition section? So
Benefit steps.
Alright, so
18 through 21, is
so
that also,
for that,
okay,
the department has provided
new language?
new language with the transition. So that's in 2.1.
Okay. So I'm gonna mark. This one for me,
This is for our chart. Thank you, ACCD.
But so then, yes, on page 110, the benefit steps. And you're talking about 18 through 21. They did also provide language on this sentence specifically.
Yeah.
Which is in 2.1.
okay. The next thing I had flagged was, the may shall issue of line 5 on page 111. The department shall issue guidelines or may. I don't know if they commented.
I don't think so. And also, did you want to, so you can do either, I think they probably would. Because it would be helpful, so but if you want to make sure that they do,
And
shall is good.
And then in term, okay, so shall will be helpful if anyone trying to figure this out. And then guidelines versus guidance was the other thing that I asked.
Yeah, I changed it to guidance.
Okay. Thank you. Then right after that, line 8 and 9. I don't know if they have the language.
Yes, they do.
Okay, where would that, I'm trying to click that.
Page 108 in draft 2.1.
Okay.
Yeah, we took a few things out, draft 2.1. Maybe shorter. That purpose section.
Okay, is step 1 still in here?
Oh,
Yeah, step 1 starts. An accessible designation. Great. My question was accessible and low barrier entry point. Which is like marketing speak, not statutory speak. Got it. So accessible designation. You. Then we choose that Better Places Grants program one. I don't know, I had asked you if there's a citation for that program.
there it is.
Okay. And there it is, it's under 5810, thank you very much, send it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I don't know where it fits in how we're, this conversation moving quickly. I do want us to add some money to the Better Places Grant Program, and I think we heard from ACCD that they would be open to that. So I'm wondering where we would put, let's say, $50,000 to support the Better Places Grant Program. And then
Was this the conversation we had where you said, could you use this money? And they said, we can't hear you ask that question.
No, that was like that's kind of what I heard. I actually think they had said yes. I think that was, he had said.
Well, no, I think he was also opaque.
Oh, he was
And
okay.
his answer was like, oh, we could always give people money if we had it, but I'm not asking. for it."
Yes, I think it was, we want the program to continue, we like it. We would do it again, we have no budget we have nothing in our budget, but we like the program and would want it to continue.
Do we know what his current appropriation is?
I do not know off the top of my head, but I know Ms. Gallagher may know.
Katie Gallagher, Vermont National Resources Council, I can pull it up, I believe that they were appropriated, and I'm sorry, this is not gonna be 100% accurate, it was either 1 or 1.5 million. 2 or 3 years ago. And so I think that they have. Allocated. Maybe 80% or 90% of those total funds, I think they have a couple 100,000 left. So I think for the sake of continuing the program. At whatever level. Helpful.
Yeah,
Alright, so they're spending something in the order, awarding something in the order of $250,000 a year, so maybe a little more.
Maybe a little more, I
think. Pretty young, guys. So let's put something in the mark, I'm gonna mark. My copy, Did I hear you say $300,000 annual appropriation is something you were making?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna mark that out here, I don't know that we wanna add that, where there is.
Totally.
Is that program winding down in any way or
It's
just?
sunsets, it's what it's. So yes, it is set to sunset July 1 of this year.
Yeah,
So I am not currently aware of if it is being, if the sunset is being appealed with any other bills. I don't know if anyone else is aware of that. I don't know if any other committee is looking to end in sunset.
and it's sunset.
To unsunset, maybe a permanent or extended sunset.
Okay, so let's mark it and put it on the sort of in basket. The only reason I'm saying it that way is because the tide is so against adding money to bills at the
Yep.
moment that if I thought we're gonna, we would, that miss something,
I believe the House did not appropriate any in their
yeah.
budget, which is unfortunate.
It's. Okay, so we're in a somewhat awkward place of, we're trying to have to go for funding and the operating area isn't asking for it, or. I didn't. It's on my copy, let's not lose track of it. 300K matches the current annual cost spectrum granting rate.
I just would like the program to continue. It does so much work. If you've ever been on the website, I mean, if I could send everyone a list of all the community projects that have been supported. I know in our area, a World War I, World War II monument was supported, and it's small amounts of money to leverage private
Right.
and other public forms of support. So it would be just such a loss to not continue this program that has been developed already.
So can you send something to all of us?
Sure.
Put us in a better place to speak up on behalf of.
Yes. It's happily.
Can you draft language that addresses that and includes an appropriate?
Sure.
Okay,
Right.
let's put it in.
It's 30 minutes,
Yeah.
20 pages.
Just make sure that Sarah McDonald.
We blazed by the Vermont Community Investment Board. A few minutes back, and I want to come back to that before we're done with our conversation. I
Okay,
don't want to take us right back.
what page is that, just so I put a marker?
132. I'm sorry, 106.
106, it has passed.
And I bring that up
Yes.
because of what you shared with us last week about
Yeah.
money being spent and invested. And we found that of the 20 million bucks that was invested, somehow it got directed to 3 counties. State.
Of the CSO awards.
Yeah, and this one here is
Looks
runs, well,
right.
it might be subject to the same results.
Okay, so I'm here for the special flag, this one.
And I was once again looking at associations of chamber executives. In our mail recently, we had a new lobbying group that was convenience stores and energy something or others. And these are organizations that don't represent Vermonters, that represent chain stores
Yeah.
and operate here in Vermont for the goals of chain stores and national retail. That's their focus, that's what they work for, and that's what they push for. And if they don't, I imagine they would be unemployed shortly afterwards. And so, and why we're
Yeah.
inviting them to establish policy and direct where money goes.
Okay, that's, Right, so it's a pretty big board, 14, and having the chamber in there seems. Helpful. I mean, just because they'll have a. I think they'll run the board. Pardon? It seems like balanced representation, that includes. Representing the business community on that board when it's a 14-person
Well,
board.
I don't wanna represent the business community in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's, their interests are not our interests.
Sure. I think this one is a Vermont-based though, right? It's all in
These
Vermont.
are
Based on all 50 states, that's.
These are not these, this is not the statewide chamber of commerce. This is an association of chamber executives, so it could be the Randolph Chamber of Commerce. And the local businesses that are members of the Randolph Chamber of Commerce, or the Central Vermont Chamber of Commerce, or the Hartford Chamber of Commerce. The head of each of those organizations. The staff head are part of the Association of Chambers of Commerce, and one of those members is on this board.
I am still as wary as I was.
Okay,
I brought it up.
I'm keeping the flag on that page and especially because of local chambers, it seems like it would, to me, a valuable voice to have the people we're talking about growth and development.
Well, the original. One of the things that is interesting to read is the activity. People, when 50 years ago, when it was established. And what interests they represent, and to watch what has happened to that. That group and how it has been reconstituted to be a different group of people. With different. More and more say over policy and money. Than what was envisioned when we started off with compact opinions.
And I think less and less local.
Pardon?
And less local. Yeah, okay.
My local, the local chambers in my area. Tend to have different views than the state chamber, which I look at the two things and I go. They both have the word chamber in them.
And costs.
Right, so for now, we have the local on there, so.
So. This was sometimes thought we would come back to people and say, I didn't mean to take. Be as big a speed bump as it apparently just was. I think it's
Yeah.
But I like it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we were at the bottom of 111, we talked about adding 300, keeping better places going.
Yep.
On the 112. We want to have edits on 112. I did ask the same annoying questions about line 18, page 112, better connections program.
Did you get your answer?
I think I got an answer. Where-
That's not in statute.
Yeah. My curiosity is satisfied. Keep on. We want
Trying to
15.
figure out where that program was created was a fun rabbit hole for me, because I couldn't find it.
It's AOT and
You just on page
Yeah.
112.
Yes, sir.
It came out of appropriations from the T bill years.
General grant priorities. Once again, we're dealing with grants. And the question is. I was again shocked to see that the ARPA grants went to 3 counties, half of them went to 3 counties. And when we're talking about grants. Grants are sort of like appropriations that we don't have control over.
The cross reference I have here is V-Trans and the A&R. V-Trans, A&R and the T-bill for the Better Connections program.
Yeah, it's not in statute, it is currently in a bill to add in statute, but that doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
Someone sits in a room, some people sit in a room somewhere and make decisions on grants.
Yes. Yeah,
And when they come out in a way that looks bizarre, maybe it was just a one-time fluke, but, we're putting a lot of money into grants, and they're supposed to be dealing with resiliency, or things that we believe in, yet they all have gone, the way in which they have gone to the areas of the state is,
Well, on that CSO,
people have voted on that, I wonder how their lottery tickets came out that day.
that the CSO awards, I don't know how those were made. I know that, for instance, if you get, as I do, the ANR alerts every time there's a CSO event, so I have a pretty good sense of how often they happen, which is often. And where, I think, for instance, Virgin's was on the list, but Virgin's often is one of the ones that has an event. Rutland very regularly has events. So my hope is that it was actually sort of needs based, recently based, something like that.
Was one populace county that got $200,000 and, not counties that got. Little three counties half the money.
Hopefully those three counties had the preponderance of CSO events or something like that. I don't know. Or not, they were, so
well, we,
more to learn there, but we need to keep going, I think.
can I just say, Senator,
Yes.
we, Senate Government Operations would like to ask some questions about the distribution of those grant funds.
I understand.
So I'm hoping that we don't have a similar situation with the Better Connections program, but we could look online to kind of see the distribution of those grants and how they're decided, but for your concern around the CSOs, I think that we're gonna look
We
into.
used to see the government offices looking into that.
And are we on page 113?
Yeah.
Okay, so line 6, I know I brought up speed limits before, and my concern around, well, actually my enthusiasm for the ability for municipalities to address speed limits. I was gonna pull up the email that we got from Ted Kennedy from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. But I believe he made a suggestion to have this only cover towns over the population over 5,000, but I just wanna, this is the part where I
Yeah,
had
once
to,
it
where
gets
I gotta look it up. But I did just, could we, as we're making flags, could we look at that?
Sure.
Because I don't think he was able to get to it in his testimony when he presented to us, but it was in his written testimony. So let's see, he said. Yeah, only applies. Oops, maybe I'm mixing things up here. This is section 7, I'm mixing things up. Darn, we're moving quickly, I apologize.
I also had the word, the phrase speed reducing.
Yes, I wanted that, and
So let's. Happy to chase it down. I mean, if you would chase it down, well, I'm putting a flag, they come back to this flag on. Step 3, line 16, I bet you already made the edit. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, where are you?
That passed.
Yep.
113.
Yep.
Line 16.
I don't think I did, well. As I've already said, this whole section has new language from the department, but no. I did not,
It's in there.
I left it.
Your vibrant estimator did take.
Lack of attention to detail.
We have another program for towns that are dull. So, thank you. We'll catch any other edits on My next question is on page 116, that has. And then it was under sub 5 on line 6, certain housing and fuel limitations. Which begs the question for me, like, which.
The ones that are currently granted to designated areas. Which are. From your recently passed. Work in the last couple of years. So,
I'm not doubting that
for example,
the cross-reference, I don't even need to know what they are, that it may be. Housing, just if the word certain goes away, it says housing field limitations as, described or pursuant to.
Mr. Chair.
nice, well, because I was being vague, because I don't know where they all are. As described in other laws, I mean, I guess I can fix it.
Okay, I mean, just certain, it seems. It, the basic question of like. Are we picking and choosing amongst stuff, and if it's the limitations that 117 spells out,
Yeah,
right? And that's all.
It makes it sound like. You don't have to do it, like some of the limitations apply, but not all of them, but we're not gonna tell you which ones. But I agree, just removing the word certain.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
That's council.
I apologize again, I feel like I'm always half a step behind. What we're going.
We're on, I hear,
115,
115.
when we're talking about available public water and wastewater service. How is that defined?
Sorry, what line are you on?
It's.
seven,
Line 7, line 8.
Oh, thank you. Wastewater service capacity. So where are we in statute at that moment?
Such as names.
Thank you, Katie Gallagher, Natural Resources Council. One, to answer your question, Senator, there is a definition for public water supplied, I believe by DEC, that I'm not gonna get it totally right, but essentially provides water service for non-transient communities
Oh.
over 60 days.
That whole.
Yeah, I did wanna flag separately, though, that there are different phrases used throughout the bill that either refer to public water or municipal water. Or some kind of variation. I have a list where I pulled those all out. I would recommend that.
Harmonized.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I would think that public water, since it does have a definition, is what you would
And
want to consider.
after public water, it says and wastewater service, so. Like. If Barry Septic comes to your neighborhood, or you just, do you have wastewater service? Or do you have a sewer system? Does the sewer system function?
It's local down.
So
Yeah, I'm trying to see what we're asserting we're doing. Who's,
this is the list of things needed for a. Step 3, center.
to the highest level of center,
And I would imagine it should be sewer.
wastewater service. And capacity. Yeah, that could be static. I mean, I think these words.
could be. So what does it mean?
Did ACCD send or the HCD send language on that section?
No,
Okay,
Someone who pours perfume to the system. On Saturday mornings.
Yeah, so two things then, so Ms. Gallagher, can you send that list to our council to help? Let's get all language harmonized, and then I don't know the answer of how robust a service you have to pass this test. I mean, there are developments with, penthouses, that they have a sort of a small scale commercial wastewater on-site septic system that it's entirely functional.
We had,
I don't know that it necessarily means town sewer. I guess that's what I'm.
I don't know what it necessarily means either, which is why it needs to necessarily mean something.
Okay, so this is an ACCD question.
Well, and just so you know, currently in the requirements for designated downtown. What is required on this topic is a very long paragraph. That is pretty specific.
Where are you?
I'm in the statute.
Oh, in the statute. Okay.
Yeah, so this section that you're in is step 3 of the centers, which from my understanding is to be closely resembling what we have for downtowns currently.
Okay.
So for downtowns currently, there is a 10-line paragraph related to water and sewer. So significantly more detail than this.
And this is a step 3 version of centers. What a designated
Center.
center. So I wonder if we should consider citing that language and. I don't know.
Sure, I don't know if Ms. Gallagher is gonna make a recommendation, but also maybe look at what's in downtowns.
For wastewater,
Yeah,
I do not.
but you're gonna send some other language. Okay.
Okay, what's the
So it's in 24 VSA 2793
793?
and it's A. B. Sorry, it's B. B
E. E, thank you.
yeah,
Um,
that can't be,
That seems wrong.
it does seem wrong. There's this, no, it's B to E.
yeah,
It's uppercase E.
it is. I had that same experience, thinking backwards to see. Where am I, a little tree? Okay,
We had a gentleman who was tall of stature from up the County Way who spoke and answered questions for an hour or so last week. And he also said he recommended that we consider as a criteria if the soils in that district were able to do local to operate efficiently with local in-ground sewage systems attached to the homes. And he thought that would be a useful option. I don't know how to evaluate that testimony, but it was there as.
sure, I think, when there's been development in Bristol, that, they had to use a commercial grade septic system for. Because there was like a capacity in the current, village system. But I know these things exist, I don't know that we're precluding that. My thought was that we're actually trying to facilitate, so that we would allow as well.
Allowing it whether
As long as there's the engineered system.
lack of capacity.
Okay. Right, well, there is the capacity, it's there, it's still. It's begs your other question on CSOs, but then I think I know the answer from the department. All right, so we'll chase that piece down.
Thank you.
Thank you, and. Still going. Anything else? When you refer inline to a section elsewhere, is section, the word section have a uppercase S always. When it's run in, it's just lowercase s, thank you. The next thing I have just flagged is a check, a question mark, and that's on page 120. Line 3, just see here. So,
The department has proposed to rewrite this whole section.
yeah,
It's included in draft 2.1.
okay, so I just leave that the question mark for the Q1 trip that we're gonna do. Everyone,
I do want us to put back in the TIF piece that the Ways and Means Committee took out,
tips,
the reference of his. That Ways and Means to take it out, I would like to put that back in.
where,
Okay, so it would be on
116.
or yeah, somewhere in there, 16, I don't know where it was originally, I apologize.
Which type of tips, the ones that are,
Tax incremental financing,
where the municipality that has the TIF, collects or pays the money over time? Or the type of tip where the ed fund loans the money,
I think those are the same thing.
well, there are different types.
Oh, I think under this, it would be both, I believe. That would cover.
you know where
Definition.
where it would appear.
It's not by us, but by. our
Yeah,
practice.
draft 16.
On page 116,
Yeah, although I guess well, okay, actually, the question is, for whom would you like it to be an available incentive? So currently, I don't have the TIF statute in front of me. But it might be any designated area meets the geographic component.
That would involve agent.
So this is because page 116 is step 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to put it at step 1.
so
And
let's,
so that's part of the reason why I wasn't in here to reevaluate. If it like, the TIF statute itself is going to need to be updated in light of this. And so then the question, Ways and Means wanted to reevaluate which centers should meet the geographic component.
Okay. So it sounds like there was not work done to kind of crystallize that thought yet. And I don't think we have time to do it. So again, we have future, which seems like a lot of things.
the bill is going, but that particular question, you know, it's going to finance still. So.
I don't think-
Finance under this.
Yes, I think it is unlikely that finance would add this.
Well, we're the TIF committee over there.
Yes, all right, and it's another in for an inch, in for a mile topic, so I think let's keep. I've added it to my list when we're on 2.1, in the 2.1 review, there's a lot of 2.1 questions from. Department of Housing and Community Development, so I. Got mine copy flagged for the same question, okay?
That will explain to you.
Sure.
I have nothing like to the remainder of.
Me either. Except the effectiveness, but
I have something,
There's a transition.
but not until
Yeah,
131.
131.
I have something on 128, and I
So 128, it's so,
it says synchronize timing, names, tax credit, effective dates.
I wrote separate, and so draft 2.1 separates this section into 2 sections. So that the update to the flood mitigation project tax credit can take effect immediately, but the name changes will be complete. So that is in draft 2.1.
Okay, that one's the one. Thank you. On page 129, I have 2025 written down with a question mark, and I'm not sure what I was questioning. I think it was right where. So since I don't know what my own question is, let's keep going.
Well, on page
It's actually in the next.
On page 130, there's a 2025 date. Yeah. So in July of 2025. No tax credits can be awarded unless there's specific allocation for them or appropriation for them for neighborhood development areas.
Okay. You had something for us.
Yeah, section 51 is the revision authority. For changing chapter 76A to chapter 139. And I actually think you should strike this. I don't think you should do this yet, especially since we're still in flux. And I think. And especially if it's gonna exist for 10 years, you don't wanna do that. Yep. So,
My copies are strike, so I think I was listening to you from last time.
great.
There was it.
Yep. That's it.
Put that on
The
line 5, page 132.
Well, you have to we have to make the decision, right, of when you're gonna repeal chapter 76A.
It just has a little question mark, but. That's all. And satisfied with that for now. Okay, so it is noon. We're meeting again for. I'm just trying to think about. The next place to go would be our 2.1 draft. And except that I'm looking at you to see if you're gonna say, you're thinking it'd be useful, do any changes based on this morning's discussion, or if we leave that alone, wait till we go to 1. Consider your suggestion as to someone managing the 2 manuscripts.
Okay, let's think. There are changes in 2.1 that we didn't discuss this morning, and you have to talk about 311.
Yeah.
And I'd like to talk about the suggestions from RBCs and VRNers.
So maybe also physically between then and now, I will have limited time. I might be able to draft between then and now.
Oh, so we'll plan 2.1.
Yeah.
And if you have something. Other that's helpful. That'd be great. For watching you were reminding us of other edits and. Can you please get hard copies for everyone at the table of those so that we all get to see the same thing at the same time, even though things are coming in via email. At this point, it's good to have hard copies. I think it's just like mark, move. Keep, make it more physical. So Wayne.
So, Mr. Chair, just so I understand,
Yeah.
tomorrow morning. Or by 12 PM tomorrow, we will be voting on a bill.
That is correct.
We have not
They're kind of.
this evening, you believe that we will get through this whole new draft and the changes. And then when will we see the additions of the sections of 311?
I think we'll be getting to those today as well.
Okay, so when we come later today, we'll just be looking at 2.1 and you'd like us to make recommendations of what we would want to see in 311 for the 3.1 draft.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. 12 on the dot. Anything else before we pause?
You've been very patient.
Not as patient as I wish maybe, but still not, get it. It's been no, all right, great. Everyone's been patient. This is a really challenging edit. There's a lot of material. The calendar's pushing us along faster than I think any of us would like to go. And although I don't usually say this, I'm counting on the fact that we have roughly a week till the floor and a committee of comments to follow, so that things that are less thoroughly baked than we might ordinarily like will have a chance for more work. But otherwise, we do need to have a bill move along with the calendar so we can vote something through before we adjourn. We're getting pulled in one at once. So thank you everyone for your